Hey, what's up everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so could eat breakfast right now, just put laundry in the machine, but it's gonna take 30 minutes and I probably wanted to make this video somewhere before or midway through breakfast like I always do, so I figured I'd just put breakfast off until it's time to put the stuff in the dryer and make a video that probably lasts about 25 minutes or so. So we'll see what comes of me. But you know, it's Laker Day in a sense that JJ Redick is not only celebrating his 40th birthday. Happy birthday, JJ, Coach JJ Redick, but he's also having an introductory presser for his Laker hiring at 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, and you know, I'll definitely be watching. And I really don't have an idea what I want to hear him say or anything like that. I'm not the guy that comes up with questions. I'm not an interviewee. I've never done anything like that. So when it comes to this type of stuff, what I'm just curious to hear him say is what his vision is for the team, how he's going to use our players, what type of player he would want to kind of bring to him to his situation in the draft, what he's looking for in prospects, how he plans on using specific players like Vanderbilt and Max Christie. Gosh, I can't even get it right. His brother's Cam. But Max Christie, Cam Reddish, if he opts in, players like that. I just want to hear what his goal is for those players, because the last year we had some issues with guys in their roles, obviously bad situations with our starting lineups at time. Coach Ham trying to throw certain things at the wall, so to speak, not really coming up with nothing positive, not really coming up with anything that kind of made any sense to all of us. So that's really where my head is. I just want to know what his intentions are with the team. You know, I listened to Laker Nation this morning, so I kind of sound like them when I speak, but I feel the same way they do. I'll just second what they said in the sense that they really don't care about how this played out. They don't really want to hear Dan Hurley's name in the questioning, even though that's probably like the hot thing to ask him, like, how do you feel? They try to pin him against Dan Hurley, probably try to make him feel uncomfortable about not being the first choice, and all of that stuff is not interesting to me. I'm not interested in any of that. What I'm interested in is how he's going to handle the rotations, what his vision is for defense, what his vision is for Bron, how's the assistant coaching search coming along, what, you know, as I said, what does he want to see happen in the draft, what types of players is he interested in, what's his vision for play styles, ball movement, and you know, what's his emphasis on various different aspects of the game, which for me, a lot of those questions may have already been answered on his podcast and on his other publications. So I think the most important thing is just him getting introduced, getting through the media's dumb questions about stuff that likely is just trying to rile him up and trying to see if he can be uncomfortable and all that other goofy stuff that our media is prone to do, which I'm not at all interested in, to be honest with you. I think that's outdated. That's an outdated way to try to approach people. It really is. Get to the meat and potatoes. The thing that got JJ Redick the job was his ability to talk basketball and make it understandable for the rest of us. So I kind of just want to see an introductory presser that's an extension of that. I want to see his mind on display for basketball, not how this job came about and all the goofy stuff that ultimately landed him the job, and then the different loops that the front office went through. I want to see how he took to the interview process. What does he think of Rob Pelinka and Jeanie Buss and then the Laker brass early on? Does he believe he'll be able to work with them? And you know, what are his thoughts about some of the decisions that they've made? I think are fair questions that could also have that effect for the media. But as far as Dan Hurley and other candidates, and how did he feel about not being the first option, I just honestly am not interested in that line of questioning today. I don't want to hear it. You know, it'd be cool to see how he's adjusting to returning back to Los Angeles. Does he have a place? All that type of stuff, personal stuff that is lighthearted in nature, I think would be a good way to go. He's obviously a personable guy, so he'll tell us all about how the family's doing. But ultimately, I just want to know how he's going to handle the roster as currently constructed, and what changes he thinks could be made from his standpoint if no changes are made to the roster. Now, obviously, if we bring in a superstar, you know, that would change things. If we bring in a Trae Young or something like that, DeJounte Murray, I think that would change the look of things. But what is his plan for the roster as currently constructed? How can he make it play to his highest level. That's what I want to see. What are his expectations for this upcoming season? How he's going to answer that question will determine how comfortable I am with him starting off this job. Because, there are a lot of different ways he can answer that question that'll make me uncomfortable. For example, if he comes out and says, we're going for a championship, we're getting a championship, and nothing short of that is what I'm expecting, I'm worried. Because I don't think that's a realistic expectation for our circumstances based on how we're constructed and him not ever doing this job before. So come in with a patient approach, and just that would make me feel a lot better if he says, I don't have any expectations. If anything, I just want to dig into the work. That would be how I'd want him to answer that, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of people wouldn't be happy with that because you got to live up to the Laker expectations. But I think the most important thing is to know that you may not be able to, and coming in with that understanding, and so that everybody's on the same page about that is important. And a guy like LeBron James, he has to be on the same page about that as well, because obviously he's the one that really needs to win right now. And honestly, we just have to work the progressions of what we currently have, which are some young players, some under-talented guys that are not championship worthy for his standards. And if he and LeBron and Anthony Davis can't lead this team to a championship, then they're not going to have one. That's not what we have for ourselves. So I'm just more of a realistic guy, and I'm happy with the circumstances as they are. I don't want to mortgage any picks to make the team better. Honestly, I think if we can make moves around the margins and bring ourselves what we need to in regards to the draft, I think that'll help. Obviously, you can't expect a young center to come in and be ready to be who you need him to be right away, but I'm hopeful that we can luck out in that way anyway, because I think that's the most cost-effective way to approach that position. And, these are the type of things that I'm thinking about. But does JJ need shooting? That he was a shooter, does he need a shooter on his team that we don't have right now? Is it important that we bring back Taurean Prince for that reason? Are things that I want to know. So just little stuff, what is his vision for the roster? What would he like seeing added to the roster? And ultimately, what is his outlook on what we have in place? Obviously, he's going to tell us he loves it and likes it and all this stuff. I don't know if he can answer all those questions as honestly as he needs to. The one thing I do like about JJ Redick is he doesn't look like he pulls too many punches. He doesn't look like a nonsense guy. So hopefully we can see that bleed through. And it's his birthday, man. I don't know how people react to that birthday. 40 is a real year. It's a hell of a way to kind of start his 40s as an introductory presser as a Laker coach, having only coached 9-year-olds leading up to this point. But these are the circumstances. I think he has the right mind for this type of scenario. And I'd rather it be him in this than most other people that I think would otherwise have his experience, just simply because we've seen what his basketball IQ is really about, both on the court as a player and in the podcast industry. So I'm in the minority. I'm pretty excited, cautiously optimistic that we can be successful based on limited expectations and a high upside coaching mind. That's what I believe. High upside basketball mind. We'll see how he does with personalities and leading men and all those different other things that are very important to this job. Managing schedules, managing timeouts, orchestrating practices. These are things that we don't know how good he can be at and how quickly he can take to that. So hopefully LeBron and AD and his coaching staff around him, maybe even guys like Kurt Rambis who've been coaches before, can kind of help him through the things that otherwise you can't learn on the side watching coaches. A lot of people think they can do certain positions until they get in there, and then they realize it's a lot of other things that have to do with what's not able to be learned from the sideline. So those are the things he's really going to need help with, and I'm encouraged by the idea that he wants a veteran coaching staff of guys who've likely done the head coaching position before. That will help him with those other things. What is his philosophy on practice? Because a lot of the time over the past several years, our team just flat out didn't practice enough. Darvin Ham didn't have a philosophy where practice was overly important. We did it, but it wasn't pressed upon us to do it consistently. And that was one of the things I was most excited about the idea of Dan Hurley, because he's very, very strenuous in his practice intentions for his young players in college. So I don't know if JJ can really get a bunch of half billionaires to really practice as hard as they need to be as excellent as I think ultimately is necessary. But what is his philosophy on that? I want to know. Uh, and then it's just about him executing. You know, will he get out there and coach the summer league team? I don't doubt that any type of coaching experience is necessary from here on out for him. So it would probably behoove him to want to be honest with you, because you haven't coached before. So like anytime you can run some practice stuff, anytime you can get out there and show us what you can do, anytime you can get out there and learn something new in that suit, I think is a good idea. Now he may have other things to do this upcoming summer and within his position, but getting a look at our young guys, working on certain management things, getting that early relationship with those guys and getting them used to seeing him on that sideline, him getting used to being on that sideline, I think is important. And I don't doubt that anytime a new coach can get a chance to coach before the real thing, they should probably try to do that. You should probably want to do that. So that's just my take on it. Curious to see if they're going to have him do that or if they're going to let an assistant coach handle that. And that's pretty much what I want from JJ, man. I'm looking forward to a good introductory press conference. Obviously, this is a TV personality before anything else at this point, so I have no doubt he's going to do well there. So yeah, that's pretty much that, man. Looking forward to the draft as well, and that will be coming up on Wednesday. Not sure exactly what time, somewhere around 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that Pacific time. And of course, the second round will be Thursday around the same time, I'd imagine. Hate that. I really want them to switch it back to 1 day, 2 rounds, man. I don't need my draft split up in 2. I just understand they want to capitalize on marketing opportunities and, you know, squeeze in as many ads as possible in between segments. But I think you can get all of that in 1 day. I really do. Same damn commercials you can get this day, you can get the next day. You're cutting the thing in half either way. So I just think the idea for me is to keep it going. It was working. I watched both rounds every year for the past 30 plus years, man. I don't want to have a round, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and then intend to watch a lesser round. That is just not intentional. That's not good. It's not good. So yeah, that's how it goes this year. They're going to try it out. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how the ratings are going to be on that second night, man. I know Bronny James is expected to be drafted the second night, so they might raise the ratings there, but I don't think in the long run this is what the people want. I don't think so, man. But I was wrong about things that they've implemented over the past couple years, including the in-season tournament that I didn't think was going to work out, that I thought was fantastic. You know, and the play-in tournament, which I wasn't excited about, now I think is great and have a lot of appreciation for. So, who knows? Maybe it'll work out the 2-day draft thing. But I just think I personally want to see it all in 1 day. Free agency has hit. Malik Monk. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Malik Monk signed his deal. I think it was just under $80 million for 4 years. This morning, we found out that Scotty Barnes is going to sign a 270, 5-year 270, which is the standard max for rookies who make an all-star team, I believe it is. You know, I've heard very mixed reviews on what they expect there, but I don't know that many people who were commenting on that understand that is the standard contract. Halliburton signed that. LaMelo Ball signed that. A few others, too. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Donovan Mitchell may have signed that. So that's kind of what it is. When you draft a guy and he's a good young rookie for the first 3-4 years of his career, if he makes an all-star team, you can bet you're probably going to have to pay him that. And given that it's a 5-year deal, spreads out that 270 a bit more than what people normally see in contracts that are usually 4 years. Is he worth that contract? In a nutshell, probably not. If I'm being real, I'm a big Scotty Barnes guy, though. I remember telling everybody well before he was drafted that he was one of my favorite players in the draft. I had gotten a look at what he could do, and I thought he was fantastic because he was such a big player that could, you know, guard smaller guys and had some Draymond in him. He could pass the ball a lot and do it well, but also could shoot the 3 ball, which I thought was an elevated skill. to have a big body that can run the floor and handle. So he didn't really have too many holes in his game. I felt like he was a little bulky, and I thought that that would work in his favor. And so far, he's been really good. As I said, made an All-Star team, Rookie of the year that he got it. This is a real player, and he's the face of the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Toronto Raptors have not been very good while he's been the face, but I think at the end of the day, they're in their rebuilding stage, and this was the most important thing, is to get their best player paid. I think they already signed Kelly Olynyk to multiple years. I think they already signed Quickly and Barrett to multiple years. So they're kind of in a space where they're giving a lot of money to some guys. I don't know that all of them should have gotten paid. I don't know that all of them, I think, will want to be locked into for multiple years. But we'll see what they do, how Grady Dick's development goes from here, who they take at, what was it, 21 maybe? Whatever their pick is. I got it here. Let me see what Toronto's pick is. 19. See who they drafted 19, and we'll pay attention to the Raptors from afar and see how their development goes, with Scottie Barnes being the face of the team going forward. So I like Scottie Barnes. I don't know that I really want to pay him that contract. I would have loved for him to not make an All-Star team this soon, so I can give him maybe $70 million less than that. But in the grand scheme of things, as a lot of people have said, these contracts are going to look better as they age going forward, in comparison to what you expect a guy like Wemby to get when it's time for him to get paid, or Banchero. These guys are going to be in the 300s, maybe even 400. As we saw, Jason Tatum, I believe, signed $315 a couple days ago, or agreed to $315 for 5 years, and we saw Jaylen Brown get $300. So it's going to get real interesting around Boston. I know they have a really nice, talented team right now, but they ain't going to be able to get a whole lot more than what they have. And if they, it's going to be difficult for them to keep what they have going, in my opinion. They got their core, but the Drew Holidays, Derek White, that scenario where they have all these other players as well, they're really going to cap themselves all the way out. They were benefiting from the idea that Jason Tatum had not been paid yet, and what that looked like next to the rest of these contracts. Now that he's been paid and Jaylen Brown's been paid, that's $615 million going into two players. So, we'll see how Boston's able to keep their thing going. But I have a feeling they are going to be in a space where it's not going to be as cute to keep both of them going. If they want to keep a real team around those guys, it ain't going to be what it was, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, hopefully that means the Boston Celtics don't win another championship ever again. Hopefully that's what that means. But anyway, at the end of the day, paying attention to what everybody's talking about. Of course, the draft is what the NBA world is really paying attention to right now. And it's a good crop of kids. Nothing great at the top of the draft, but I think more good role players and guys that are likely to make the league than usual, so long as they fall into the right situations. Of course, I did my mock draft a couple days ago. It was before a few things happened, the Josh Giddey trade, and of course Malik Monk going back to Sacramento. I do think that probably would have adjusted what I was looking at for some of these teams, particularly the Kings, and my mock to Rob Dillingham going there. I don't know if I feel the same way about Dillingham's role if Malik Monk is on the team. But that, for the most part, I still feel pretty confident that I drafted the way I would intend to draft a few days from now. And yeah, we just wait, man. We just wait. That's really what it is. I've been counting down this draft, done so much homework on this dang draft. So for me, I'm very much looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting past it and getting into an understanding of what I know what the rosters will be. The trades that could be possible, see if we have any letdowns in regards to no trades or nothing like that on the draft, because everybody thinks trades are coming, including myself. So all of this is important. Free agency is going on. I think I like that they've allowed for teams to negotiate with their free agents after the finals. I think they should keep that. That's a good change, because we're starting to see some guys get settled in to their deals now, and then you can draft with the understanding that you either kept these guys or letting these guys go. So it's interesting stuff that allows for a better strategy, I think. Also, I'm understanding that there's a lot of Paul George rumors going around. The latest one is him possibly going to sign and trade to the Golden State Warriors, maybe even for Klay Thompson, though I don't know if Klay's going to be able to make the money that George is going to be currently expected to make, so it might get a little tricky there. But I think that the Clippers probably losing that. I would not be comfortable with that trade if I were the Clippers. I like moving on from Paul George as much as the next guy, as far as a Laker fan wanting the Clippers to deteriorate. But if I were on the Clippers side of things, that is not equivalent for Paul George in 2024. It's not. So for me, I need to see more coming my way than that. So yeah, that's what I understand. That's the latest rumor. They're interested in Paul George. The Rockets are interested in Paul George. I even heard the Knicks name come up in regards to Paul George, which I think is really interesting. OG Anunoby may not be returning. From what I understand, that the Knicks don't necessarily think he's worth what he's asking for, but they did give up several first-round picks for him, even though they have $1 million of them to give. Still, I would not have done that. But it is what it is. I told you guys what I thought of OG Anunoby. I still feel the same way. When he's on the floor, he's a nice player. When he's off the floor, hurt, obviously he can't help you, and that's the issue. He's always hurt, always. And where was he in the playoffs? Hurt, not available to his team. So far be it for me to give up anything real for OG Anunoby. I'm letting him go somewhere else from the New York Knicks, and I'm trying to fill in his position with somebody else. So that's another reason why in my mock I had them taking 2 small forwards, 2 energetic small forwards. A lot of people are saying Ryan Dunn should go there. I'm not taking Ryan Dunn in the first round because I honestly think his offense is going to be a real liability for most teams, including the New York Knicks, who already have some non-shooters in their front court. Julius can shoot, but I'm talking about Robinson, and he's not really a shooter. Hartenstein, not a shooter. So I don't want to bring a guy who's going to be deficient and have him crowding out Brunson and have the defense crowding out those guys with Ryan Dunn. So I do like the idea of Ryan Dunn's defense and energy on the Knicks, but I don't necessarily think that he's going to help them offensively. In fact, he's going to take a lot from them, and that's not what they need. A team that needs Ryan Dunn, in my humble opinion, is probably the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers were a team that was so bad defensively that they couldn't win a game when it really mattered most, and they're so great offensively to where all they really need is somebody to come down there and be a defensive anchor, somebody they can throw on anybody, basically, and that's exactly what Ryan Dunn is. They got several picks in the second round. A nice pick, I think, at the end of the first round. Not a nice pick, but a pick in the end of the first round, I think. No, I don't think they have any first-round picks. No, but they do have like 3 in the second round. I'm likely going to try to move up if I'm the Pacers. I'm going to try to take both of my second-rounders, maybe all 3 of my second-rounders, and move into the first round if at all possible, or take 2 of them and move up to the top of the second round if I can. And I'm going to take Ryan Dunn if I can if I'm the Pacers. They are the team, in my opinion, that can afford, because of all their shooters and all the different offensive players, which is literally everybody, and their desperate need to get better defensively. I think Ryan Dunn needs to be there. He needs to be in Indy, not the rival New York Knicks. So that's the one place I think I could send him. And they got so much other stuff going on that he doesn't necessarily need to come in and be ready. But if he does come in, his skill is specifically needed. So yeah, that's where I want Ryan Dunn to go. If not my very own Los Angeles Lakers, because I love defensive players. Even though he doesn't fit, I don't care. I would love to have him. But I'm not taking him at 17. I think the Pacers should target him and take him, because they need defense probably more than anybody else, probably in the entire league. They're Ryan Dunn away from the NBA championship. And if he was on the roster, they probably would have been in the finals. So that's how I look at Ryan Dunn. So yeah, man, these are things that I've been thinking about. That's been on my mind for a couple of days. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Pretty much it as far as that draft is concerned. I still feel confident that DaRon Holmes is a pick that I really like for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't love, in a nutshell, taking him at 17. He's not as good of a rebounder as I was hoping he would be, and he's not somebody that I expect to break up lobs, because he doesn't really have the length for lob breakups, which I think is a very important thing if you're going to have him subbing in for Anthony Davis. But nevertheless, if I had a choice that I think who fits the best for us, it probably is still DaRon Holmes. If not DaRon Holmes, probably Zach Edey. And I know a lot of people don't want us to take Zach Edey, but the 7'4", 306 frame is something that I'm enamored with. And like I said, I grew up on Shaq, so I'm not afraid of giving the ball to somebody in the post and telling them to go get it. I'm not afraid of that in this era. I know a lot of people are, but that's going to draw fouls, man. It's going to break. Spacing is going to be broken up by taking some of those fantastic shooters on the other team and forcing them to defend him. Like there's an inverted way of looking at it. It's like, oh my God, he can't guard the space, and he can't guard the space, but he's going to draw so many fouls because people are going to be trying to stop him from dunking the ball, and they're not going to be able to, and it's going to get them in foul trouble in situations where other guys who are spacing the floor are just not going to be fouled very much. So Zach Edey's a foul drawer, as I like to call it, drawing of fouls. He is going to do that. Another person who's starting to raise up on my list of players, even though I haven't been high on him very much at all, is Isaiah Collier. Why? Same reason. Same reason. Because I do believe in his way, because he's going to be running at the rim and rushing at the rim constantly, one of two things is going to happen. He's going to draw offensive fouls. People are going to stand in front of him. If he barrels over him, it's a problem. Or he's going to be drawing fouls. And from what I understand, in college, he's one of the best people at that last year in the entire NCAA. Is drawing fouls. So that's why he's moving up on my list. I'm not overly excited about bringing him in as a Laker, but I'm not as down on it as I was, because I just think that that's a really important thing, putting pressure on the rim and being downhill and ultimately putting people in foul trouble. I think it's the best way to break up a team's continuity is to have somebody on your end drawing fouls consistently, because it's going to force the coach to get those guys off the floor and do stuff that they likely don't want to do. And if you look around the league, there's very few teams that I consider comfortably deep, meaning that they have players that they don't mind playing in situations where they either get hurt or in foul trouble. Most of these teams don't. Most of these teams want to go with their top 7. I think guys like Isaiah Collier and Zach Edey can force those teams to go into their bench a little better. So that's what I want to say, man. Foul drawing players are of a premium to me. Rebounding is important to me. Getting second chance points in this era, stuff like that. Shooting and spacing is important. Defense is important. All of these different things are very important, man. So I want the Lakers to do as much homework as possible leading into this draft. I want them to use the 17th overall pick or move up. Maybe even move back if they don't like what they see at 17, although I see a lot that I like at 17. But the idea for me is to move up, if at all possible. It's the only reason why I'd trade that pick that I can see, unless we're making a move for a superstar, which you guys know I'm not a fan of in most situations. So, yeah, man, that's really what it is. I don't know what the Lakers are going to do. I hope they don't use first-round picks on role players, man. I've been listening to people talk about how they want a team build, and talking about using a first-round pick on Wendell Carter. I will throw my phone on the floor, in the trash can, or in some water if we use a first-round pick on Wendell Carter. He plays 40 games a season. He's not a great defensive center. I like him for our team. I like his contract. But there's no way in hell he's worth a first-round pick to me. No way in hell. Not one of my own. Now, if I had somebody else's, as we talked about in the previous video, I got another team's first-rounder, and I can still tank if I want to sub into tank mode, morph into tank mode if necessary, and I get rewarded for my ineptitude. That is much more valuable to me to keep than just someone else's first-round pick, where even if I have a great season, I can still have a great pick because they had a bad season over there. That's a different level of pick, in my opinion. If it's your own pick with your name attached to it, you don't need to be giving it away all willy-nilly for some role player some random year. Hell no. Hold on to those. So, no, I'm not up for that. If we can acquire other people's first-round picks over the next several years, I will be more than happy to start okaying some of these moves for some of these role players that some of y'all want really badly that you're willing to give up picks for. Because if it's somebody else's pick, I'm fine with it. But if it's our pick, no. We need our picks. If anything, I'm telling us to go get our picks back from Utah. Go get my damn pick back. Seriously. Don't give them any more of our picks. Take the ones that they've taken from us back. That's what you need to do when you know your rebuild is on the way. So that's pretty much my 30 minutes, man. It's time for me to go get my clothes out of the washer and into the dryer. I appreciate everybody for watching BDL 44. I'm out.